Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. I'm Joshua Norris here with the Wet Island for this edition, October 6th, 2016. On this show, we are going to look back and review last year's Kings season and look back and see where or why it went wrong, because Lord knows it totally did down the stretch. I mean, if you look at that Winnipeg Jets game, the final game of the season, that's a total microcosm of how the season actually went. To get that 3-0 lead, you can relate that to the hot start the Kings had, and then to choke it all away, that is totally unacceptable. And I mean, that's pretty much what we did. We got out to a hot start. We blew it. It's very, very frustrating, too, when you think the Kings typically don't have great regular seasons. And we were on the verge of having finally a great regular season, and we wouldn't have to beat ourselves up playing the top guys in the playoffs. So, but unfortunately, we blew that. A couple things I want to get into before the review. I want to explain my leave of absence for a little bit. Last weekend, I went to Las Vegas with my beautiful girlfriend, Caitlin. So I was really looking forward to that. I was getting ready for that. I wanted to make sure I had all the money. I was, making sure the plans went right. So that's why I was absent last week. And to be honest with you, I made the big mistake of buying FIFA 17. Bro, I have not been able to put down the Xbox One controller. But I don't know what, FIFA did a great thing this year. Because if you're a sports video gamer like I am, I don't really play the shooters, the first-person shooters, the dramas, the role. I'm not really into all that stuff. But I'm a sports video gamer, and the thing to be brutally honest about sports video games, quite frankly, they don't change from year to year. I mean, NHL 2007, aside from the graphics, is no different than NHL 17. Really, it's not. I mean, it's pretty much the same game, just updated with rosters. But I know, this. I'm trying to get this out of the way very quickly. But here's what FIFA did this year. They implemented a story mode where you take this kid, Alex Hunter, and you start when you're 11 years old. And you have your best friend, and you grow up, and you can control all the personality of your character. You control all of that. So if you wanted to be like a POS, if you wanted to be like a scumbag, you can be a scumbag based on your responses to certain interactions. Or you can be like the respectable, humble athlete like that. You could do that if you want to do that. But so Alex Hunter grows up. He's 17 years old. He's about to go to the Premiership. He gets to the Premiership. His dad splits on him. His best friend splits on him. It's just it's a great story. And I put in like a solid, I want to say 36 hours over the last freaking week. But anyway, so that explains the leave of absence. I promise that won't happen in the regular season. Again, the Wet Island, after every single Kings game, we will be live after the game. Bro, I got another thing I have to touch on real quick. And if you're a sports fan like me, because I love all sports, is the beginning of October not heaven on freaking earth? Bro, I mean, you got Major League Baseball playoffs, which I'll get into in a second. You got hockey coming back. You got the NBA coming back. The NFL and college football are back. You got soccer is year-round, but you got World Cup qualifying. Bro, I'm waking up at 10 a.m. I got World Cup qualifying to watch. At 1 o'clock, I got Major League Baseball playoffs. That leads into the next Major League playoff game. Just sports all the way around, which my girlfriend, Caitlin, I know she's stoked on it, because that's what I'm doing for from now until, let's say, June. It's sports. But I'm very, very excited, very nervous as well for tomorrow's. The Dodgers open up the postseason tomorrow. Clayton Kershaw versus Max Scherzer, Game 1 of the division series. Listen, I want this one really bad. I want this very, very bad, bro, especially for Vin Scully. I want to send him off into the sunset with a World Series championship. Nobody deserves it more than Vin Scully. I think Vin Scully stories. I'm trying to think of them. I have one that pops out in my head. I was watching the Blue Jays and the Rangers today, and they showed a stat on the screen that said the Texas Rangers have turned the most double plays in the majors this season. And I instantly thought back to, this was a while ago, I instantly thought back to something Vin Scully said. I remember the Dodgers were playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the Pittsburgh Pirates at that time had turned the most double plays. Vin Scully, on the surface, you go, well, they must be a very good defensive team. Vin Scully goes, yeah, well, the Pittsburgh Pirates throw the most double plays in the majors. The reason why that is because there are so many base runners. So it's turning double plays doesn't necessarily mean that you're a very good team. It just means that really you're allowing too many base runners. Now, obviously, turn the double play when you get a chance to turn a double play, but that's a kind of a misleading statistic that Vin Scully broke down for me, and I have not forgotten that to this day. That's just the genius of Vin Scully. And I can't remember to tell you like how many times I've just been watching a Dodger game, and you have to understand he's doing it by himself, no color commentator, but very little. It's all him. How many times have you heard Vin Scully during a game go on about a story? He researched something, he's telling you a story, but while he's telling you that story, he doesn't miss one piece of the action. Every ball, every strike, every play, he gets in there. And he does it on the span of, a lot of these times, these innings don't last very long, but he's able to get it all out without missing a freaking beat. Vin Scully, absolute legend, and I'm going to miss him very, very much. But not even just for Vin. Bro, I want this for Clayton Kershaw. I want him to be able to silence his critics about his, poor, quote-unquote, poor postseason performances and stuff. I want him to get over that hump. I want this for a guy like Andre Ethier, who, thank God, made the postseason roster, who Dodger fans wanted traded for a very long time now. I know that he's going to get in there against a left-handed pitcher, and I know he's going to mash. Andre Ethier is a freaking Dodger. I'm so excited he made the postseason roster. Bro, I want this for a guy like Yasiel Puig, who got sent down and who people call a head case and people label him things that they don't even really know about. But, he got sent down. He kind of got, I think, maybe treated a little bit unfairly, but he's back now. He's hitting the ball well. He's playing good. I want that for a guy like Yasiel Puig. I want that for everybody on that roster. This Dodger team, if this isn't the team, then there is no team that's going to do it. Especially with Vin's last year, bro, it's balls to the wall. We got to leave it all out there. Very nervous, though. Very, very nervous because Max Scherzer is a freaking gamer. The Washington Nationals are a very good baseball team. And in a 5-game set, bro, game one is almost it's almost imperative to have it. So I'm really, really nervous, and that's coming around at 2 o'clock, 2:30 tomorrow. So I can't wait for that one, but I'm definitely nervous about it. But I think the boys have it in them. I think they got, Clayton Kershaw just does his thing, let's say 2 runs or less, which is a lot to ask for a pitcher, but that's kind of the norm for Clayton Kershaw. If he just does his Clayton Kershaw thing, we have a very, very, very good chance of taking game one, which I think will go very, very far in the division series. The other National League set, somehow, man, that freaking San Francisco Giants team somehow was in it. That collapsed. They freaking collapsed in the second half of the season. And here they are, because it's an even year. Here they are in the postseason again. Madison Bumgarner, I saw something on Twitter, 23 innings of elimination playoff baseball Madison Bumgarner's thrown. 0 runs. Not a single run in 23 innings of closeout games. That's freaking phenomenal. And I'm a Dodger fan. I hate the Giants, but that is freaking phenomenal. And bro, the Cubs, after a game like that, the Cubs might have their hands full somehow. The best team in baseball, the Cubs, who really should, on paper, walk right through the Giants. They might have some issues playing the San Francisco Giants. I hate to say it. on paper, but let's be honest. How many times in sports have we read games on paper and it just goes the complete opposite way? Anything can happen. And you know what? if they do win it, if they do beat the Cubs, I hope we are there to greet them in the National League Championship Series. I would love to put them out of here on Vin Scully's last season en route to a World Series championship. That would be the best story possible. A couple things now, hockey related. Pierre McGuire came out earlier this week and said that Connor McDavid is the second best player in the National Hockey League. And, when someone says something like that, you kind of try to innately disagree with them. Look, I don't know that Connor McDavid is the second best player in the world behind Crosby, but he certainly freaking looked it in the World Cup of Hockey. That guy he looked like he was, the only person better than him was Crosby. I don't really know if I can disagree with Pierre McGuire right here. The 19-year-old captain of the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid, might be the second best player in the world, and he's only going to get better. But, I think this season is going to be will be telling for a guy like Connor McDavid. Obviously, he hasn't played that much. I don't think he's played enough to warrant that label, but he looks it. He looks to be that label. We got guys like Ovechkin and Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews and Anze Kopitar and a guy like Drew Doughty, even Erik Karlsson on some level. Bro, these guys are established players that I think that they would take offense to, this 19-year-old kid being the second best player in the world. But, bro, it might be the honest-to-God truth. He was one of my favorite players to watch in that World Cup of Hockey, and he's playing against grown men, and he's the best player on the ice. So, Pierre McGuire, really, really, really hard to disagree with him. Staying with the Oilers a little bit, Nail Yakupov is rumored to be in a deal to go to the Chicago Blackhawks. Look, it begs, it kind of brings up the Nail Yakupov conversation. And I was having this conversation with my cousin. We didn't disagree or anything. Look, I don't think that you draft a Nail Yakupov to change your franchise. I think Nail Yakupov is a very, very great, or could be very great offensive player. The guy, in his first year in the lockout year, he had 31 points in 48 games, 17 goals to go along with that. He has shown the ability to put the puck in the National Hockey League. So he's not a bad player. I just think he's a good supporting cast guy. He's not your franchise changer. And when you get drafted first overall, especially to a team like Edmonton who plays in Canada, a couple things happen. One, the expectations for you go through the freaking roof. They expect you to be Wayne Gretzky. They expect you to be Sidney Crosby. And it's just unfair. So there's unfair expectations. But unfair expectations were placed on Nail Yakupov. And it's the Canadian media. Or look, how many guys has the Canadian media ran out of town? Look, they did it to Phil Kessel. The Canadian media ran Phil Kessel out of town. And all he did was go on to win a Stanley Cup. And he's a crucial part of that Pittsburgh Penguins team. Well, Phil Kessel was their best goal scorer. The Canadian media ran him out of town. Jonathan Bernier. On a smaller scale. But Jonathan Bernier played well in his first season. Bro, and let me stop real quick, because I could fill 45 minutes on the Jonathan Bernier conspiracy. I really, really could. But I will put money that now that he's out of Toronto, now that he's out of Canada, I will put money that he has his best season as a goaltender as an Anaheim Duck. That pains me to say. But I will put money down that Jonathan Bernier has his best season in the NHL now that he's out of there. And that's just a couple guys. How many guys do you know got ran out of Canada because the media pushes them too hard and puts expectations on them like that? Well, and again, speaking of back to Nail Yakupov, it wasn't like he got drafted to a barn burner of a team. That team, as far as right now, speaking right now on October 6, 2016, that team still sucks. That team is still very, very bad, and that's the team Nail Yakupov was on. So what is he supposed to do? Obviously, he's not a franchise-changing guy. He's a good offensive player. He plays on a crap team. So he has these expectations. He's on a crap team, and now he's going to get shipped out of there for what? because he didn't score 50 goals in 2 seasons. The guy's still, what is he, 23 years old? Maybe younger? Come on, man. I mean, it's like the guy, so everyone wants to label him a bust. Watch him go to Chicago. If he goes to Chicago Blackhawks, I bet you he scores 20 plus. I'll guarantee it. He won't have that attention on him. He'll probably be on the Hawks' third line, and he's going to contribute if he goes there. So, it just kind of bugs me a little bit that politics in the National Hockey League still exist. And BS labels get put on players that they don't deserve. And it just, Andre Laciano was one of those guys too. We watched. I was watching some videos, like some Kings roundtable. Like, I'm not gonna say there was a bunch of credible guys there. I don't want to bury anybody, but let's just say there was some Kings bloggers at this roundtable, and they said, well, Andre Laciano, I don't know about him because his name ends in V. Now, obviously, these are bloggers talking about like that, but it seems that Russian thing, it kind of exists even at the top level. And look, bro, like, again, one more thing about Yakupov. You got here a guy like Don Cherry. Remember he scored that goal and he celebrated too hard. He was too happy that he scored the goal. And Don Cherry goes on Hockey Night in Canada and freaking buries him. And that doesn't help. A lot of people in Canada, even though on Twitter they don't like Don Cherry very much on Twitter because there's a bunch of social justice warriors, and we won't get into that. I won't do that on this show. But of course on Twitter they don't like Don Cherry. But he's a Canadian legend, Don Cherry. A lot of people in Canada listen to him, and a lot of people value his opinions. And so he gets mad that Nail Yakupov celebrated scoring a goal. And then the fans, they're gonna look at him and they're gonna try to bury him. So I think Nail Yakupov had gotten the wrong end of the stick on this one. But I hope he turns around. I hope he does go to Chicago, and I hope he plays well. With all that said, I do want to get into the season review, the last year's Kings season review. I want to give you a couple of names that here are a couple of names that were on the team when the Kings were 24-11 and won 13 games over 500. I'm going to give you a couple of names here. Michael Mersch, Nick Shore, Jordan Wheel, Derek Forbert. He was scratched this game, but he was still with the team. Mersch, Shore, Wheel, Forbert, even Christian Ehrhoff was there. Look, I know people, he had some defensive blunders, but he was there when the Kings were 25-11 and 2, 24-11 and 1. Christian Ehrhoff was there, and is he really worse than a couple of the guys I'm about to name right now? Here's some guys on the roster on the very last game of the season when the Kings bowed out to the San Jose Sharks. Luke Schenn, Rob Scuderi, Vincent Lecavalier. Now, I hesitate to throw Vinny in there because a lot of people would say that he's serviceable. I think he was serviceable. Nick Shore was scratched, though. Nick Dowd was nowhere to be found. Could Nick Shore and Nick Dowd not have used those minutes? I mean, what does Vinny need those minutes for, especially on a team that doesn't quite have it? Because let's face it, last year's team, we didn't quite have it. I mean, towards the end. Maybe we did in the beginning when we were 25-11-2 and we had the right personnel in there. Maybe we had it then, but we didn't have it at the end. Point blank, we just didn't have it. There's no way we were winning. So does Vincent Lecavalier need those minutes as serviceable as he was? Probably not. Here's some more names. Jamie McBain. Dwight King was there for a long time, but he kind of fits the mold is what I'm talking about. I don't want to bury Dwight just yet. We'll get into the season of the rebuttal on the show the day before the season where we preview this season. But Jamie McBain, Schenn, Scuderi, bro, you got Kevin Gravel, Derek Forbert, guys that could use these minutes, but unfortunately they weren't there. I mentioned 25-11-2. That's the Kings' record. 24-11-1 with the guys with the guys I named before: Mersch, Shore, Wheel, Forbert, Ehrhoff, these guys. When the Kings were 25-11-2, on January 2nd, the next 38 games, 25-11-2, 38 games, the next 38 games, My apologies, everybody. I'm having technical difficulties with this computer. For some reason, the Wi-Fi keeps going in and out. Now, I don't know when I cut out, but I'll just go back to what I was saying before. 25, 11, and 2 are the first 38 games. The next 38 games, we go 20 and 18. And we really, really could have used a lot of those points that we missed out on because we wanted to go with the guys like Shen and Scuderi and McBain and the Cavalier and all these guys that really, they don't need the minutes and they're not better than the guys who aren't getting those minutes. So 20 and 18, and we lost the division by 1 freaking point. And then when you think on the grand scheme of things that we could have played the Nashville Predators instead of the San Jose Sharks, bro, when it was found out that we were going to play San Jose, did anybody in their right mind think that we were going to win? I mean, the San Jose Sharks had that series circled. Considering the way we beat them en route to a Stanley Cup, they wanted nothing more than to knock us out. And knock us out they did. Again, it all could have been rectified if we just closed out a 3-0 lead against the Winnipeg Jets. But, you know, as fate would have it, it didn't happen. So that's like the biggest thing that I take away from last season. It's like the management wanted to go with the more experienced guys. Okay, we can't go into the playoffs with these young kids. As good as they might be, we cannot go into the playoffs with them. We cannot do it. We need to go in with more experience. We have to go with the Shens and the Scuderis and McBains and all these guys. We have to do it. Well, guess what, bro? You lost in 5 games anyways with the experience. So now you double lost. You lost twice. Now you're out in 5 games, and the kids that you were too inexperienced to play, now they don't have experience, and you lost. So the management totally, 100% botched the end of that season. 100%. If we go in with the young kids in the playoffs and we lose, hey, listen, so what? At least, bro, we put our best foot forward. At least we didn't put our best foot forward. We put slow feet forward. Shen, Scuderi, these guys. I mentioned Christian Ehrhoff before, and I said, like, is he really worse than Rob Scuderi and Luke Shen, especially when they were out together? At least Christian Ehrhoff can freaking skate. Kevin Gravel can skate. Derek Forward's 17 years old from the time we drafted him. Bro, he could use those freaking minutes. And now what's going to be the case going to training camp? Is he still going to be too inexperienced to get a look? So that was the biggest blunder for me from last season. You wanted to go with the experienced guys, you lost. Now the kids don't have experience. I mean, like that you lost twice, bro. And in that series, game 1, when Trevor Lewis scores that shorthanded goal, that was supposed to be. I think that was supposed to be the goal that, okay, now we're going to go take this series by the horns. I thought that was supposed to be it, but nope. We give it right back, I think, 30 seconds later. 30 seconds later. So, you know, again, that brings me to training camp this year. As I've just totally done on a rant about the experience versus the talented kids who now don't have the experience. That's what I want out of training camp. Make it an actual competition. And if the young kids beat out these guys, then give them the spot and do not give them a short leash. Let them freaking play. Bro, all you do is watch the World Cup of Hockey. Let the kids freaking go. They're going to get better. And guess what? When they're playing, they're gaining experience, bro. So have training camp be an actual freaking competition, and don't play favorites. Don't play, because Rob Scuderi's been around. Bro, come on. The best players need to play, and I've said it time and time and time again. So, bro, that's it for the review of last season. I know that was pretty quick, but really, we don't want to relive that. A couple shows. Tomorrow will be the second edition of Pick 2 Sucks. I'm going to go over my Las Vegas trip. I'm going to go over, I got to bury my good cousin Travis. and he didn't do anything particularly wrong. But Travis is going to get buried tomorrow. I want to talk about a couple other things. Obviously, the Dodger game will be over. I'll take a look at that game. A lot of things I want to talk about tomorrow. Pick 2 sucks. I don't want to give too many things away. But after that, we're going to review a not-so-good game. All the review shows I've done have been Kings wins. But on Saturday, we're going to be reviewing Game 2 of 1993 to Stanley Cup Finals, a.k.a. Desjardins, which is still painful to this day. Also, you can look forward to Tuesday, a day before the season. Me and my cousin Corey Marvin will be on live to talk about the upcoming season. We'll preview the upcoming season. We like to call it the year of the rebuttal, because that's what it is. Bro, listen, we've had a roller coaster over the last couple of years with the 2 Stanley Cups, in between losing to the Hawks in the conference finals, then missing. Then last year, we've had a roller coaster of a season, or of the last couple of years. So, look, this upcoming season is the year of the rebuttal. Everybody gets a clean slate. From Dean Lombardi to Daryl Sutter down. Everyone gets a clean slate. Dustin Brown gets one. Everybody gets one. But then that's it. Look, if you don't perform, you might have to go. With the exception of our cornerstone guys who think like Anze Kopitar, maybe Drew Doughty. I know I'm going to get flamed on Twitter if I don't say Jonathan Quick, which I'm going to touch on Tuesday's show. There's a great article from the Hockey News that previews the Kings season. There's a great article on that if you want to go read it. Just Google the Hockey News Kings preview, and you'll find it. I totally recommend it. But yeah, so tomorrow Pick 2 sucks. Saturday review of the Game 2 1993 Stanley Cup Finals, Desjardins, and then Tuesday, live for the season preview. That's it, everybody. I'm your host, Joshua Norris, and this has been another edition of The Wet Island. I apologize for the technical difficulties. This freaking thing has been bugging me. I hate technology when it F's up. So that's it, everybody. Hope you enjoy the show. I will see you tomorrow for Pick 2 Sucks.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can seem intense. Like breakup R&B intense.
I thought you said you loved the sweater that I got you. If you didn't, you could